Tonight, we examine a fast-moving political and economic narrative, where rising gas prices, global energy strategy, and international diplomacy intersect. At the center of this discussion are competing claims about policy decisions, geopolitical shifts, and their direct impact on consumers. As officials outline ambitious energy partnerships and critics raise concerns, the key question remains: what's really driving prices at the pump, and who should be held accountable?
We had gas prices, we can put up here on the board, today at $3.32, yesterday $3.25, a week ago $2.98. So there's an obvious trend here. Your colleague, Chris Wright, told Fox & Friends that this would be an issue for weeks, not months. How would you expand on that?
Well, I would just say that since the day that President Trump's got elected, his policy of energy dominance, which means energy abundance, which means we're going to increase the supply.
What we're hearing here is a strong framing of energy policy as both an economic and geopolitical tool. The idea of shifting reliance from the Middle East to the Western Hemisphere, particularly through renewed engagement with Venezuela, represents a significant strategic pivot. However, it's important to note that rebuilding Venezuela's oil infrastructure and stabilizing its political environment are complex, long-term challenges. While increased supply can influence prices, global oil markets are also shaped by demand, conflict, and speculation. So the question becomes, is this a sustainable solution or an optimistic projection? And how quickly could such partnerships realistically impact everyday fuel costs?
For ourselves and our allies has been in effect. I mean, we're almost $2 below the peak that during the Biden administration today, even with this temporary increase. And I just got back from Venezuela last night. I mean, I think the thing that people misunderstand with President Trump, when he's moving at Trump speed, in 2 months, we've turned Venezuela from a sanctioned adversary into a strategic partner. And with them, Chevron down there resuming in increasing, they hit record production in Venezuela yesterday. So again, we're with the Venezuela partnership, we have an opportunity to move the geopolitical center from the Middle East, to the Western Hemisphere. And again, President Trump, without his bold, courageous, decisive leadership on January 3rd, we wouldn't even be talking about these incredible strategic alternatives and options, which are going to benefit the American people for decades.
In fact, I have here a chart that shows the top countries by crude oil reserves, Venezuela at the top. So you would have seen that. One of the concerns that some of the energy companies had was that the infrastructure in Venezuela had been degraded. What did you see with your own eyes?
Well, the thing we saw yesterday in Venezuela is this is a country, they love the NBA, they love Major League Baseball, they love the U.S. dollar, they want to do business, they're looking forward. That we brought with as part of our delegation a set of U.S. companies, some of the leaders in critical minerals and mining, a set of our top oil and gas producers were also part of that meeting. Everybody wants to get started, and actually yesterday we did sign multiple deals. They're going to help move this forward. State Department, Treasury, Marco Rubio, Chris Wright, the whole team working together and giving those licenses. So we're seeing technology, capital, and people flow into Venezuela, which is going to help them get their production back up towards the levels that they used to produce, which is substantially higher than where they are today.
So they obviously would rather do business with us than with Iran, especially now. But did you get a sense that she, as Delcy Rodriguez, now the head of her country, is willing to release more political prisoners from those horrible prisons that Maduro had them in?
Well, there's been regular progress on that front, and I'd say whether it's on diplomatic, economic, across all kinds of industries. We talked about their power generation sector. We visited ports yesterday. That country is open for business. They want U.S. investment. They're taking care of the security concerns, and with the laws that they've passed is the biggest demonstration. Their new hydrocarbon law basically establishes better terms and conditions for investment than other countries in the world. Capital is going to flow to where it has the lowest risk and the highest return. Venezuela is committed to being competitive on the national or on the international market, and this benefits Americans. We're talking 5 days for a tanker of Venezuelan oil to get through the Gulf of America to our Gulf Coast, to our refineries, which were designed for Venezuelan oil. It can be 40 days for that oil if it was going to flow to someplace like China. 2 months ago, China was buying that at a discount. Now they have to pay full price. Americans benefit benefit. The Venezuelan partnership is going to be one of the ways that price goes down at the pump in America.
That's fascinating. I want to play this for you. Senator Schumer wasted no time in blaming President Trump for rising gas prices.
Gas prices are starting to go up. The national average is now $3.25 an hour, up from $2.99 from a week ago. Here's an idea. If Donald Trump doesn't want gas prices to go up, he should not have unilaterally started a war with Iran.
How would you respond to him?
Well, I mean, this is absurd because New York in particular has some of the highest energy costs in America as a state, and they do because they won't even allow natural gas from next door in Pennsylvania to flow into New York. I mean, during the storm 3 weeks ago, we were selling natural gas to Europe for a fraction of what it was the price in New England because New York State blocking pipelines for a secure, safe, reliable American energy just to flow to the states in the Northeast. So, I mean, this is the worst kind of political talking point because where was Schumer when he was when they were passing all these renewable green laws, which drove up the price of energy in 28 states? New York, was one of the ones. They made policy decisions that drove the prices up, and their citizens are paying for that every single day.
This exchange highlights a familiar dynamic in energy politics, where global strategy, domestic policy, and partisan narratives all collide. On one side, there's an argument that expanding supply through international partnerships can stabilize prices. On the other, critics point to geopolitical decisions and policy choices as key drivers of rising costs. The reality is often more complex, with multiple factors influencing what consumers ultimately pay. So what do you think? Are energy prices more shaped by global strategy or domestic policy decisions? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more clear, fact-based analysis on the stories shaping today's world.